But that's very, that's very local.
I was wondering if we have any questions from the audience. We have a roving mic which can come around. Please don't shout any questions until the mic comes to you. But we have a mic. If anyone has any questions for Jonathan or Martin, if you could put your hands up, and someone with our mic will come around. Yes, we have a question from the mic person over here.
So really interesting debate there about online and maybe why people can appear to be evil online. And I wonder, when you look at something like Journey, where they actually took out every possible way that people could grief people to create this beautiful sort of thing, and then there are other games like GTA where they don't remove a lot of that, and you end up getting shot. I wonder whether it's something that Martin just said. Do you think it's human nature to be like that, or do you think it's that, which I think is really pressing the point, that there isn't enough information in the game yet for you to empathise fully? So you can't see the body language, you can't really see the expressions, and if actually you were being mapped 100% into that game, so they saw the look on your face when you got shot and all that sort of side of stuff, that people wouldn't be able to do it and people would be nicer to each other.
Well, I think that civilization has taken more than just being able to see each other's face to create a system of laws and culture and society that people feel invested enough in, not to warlord around the place, creating empires for themselves at the expense of the future and other people. So my answer is no. I think there's more to it than that, but at least that's a start.
I think systems are massively powerful, and I'm not going to claim they essentially dictate your behaviour, but they nearly do. I mean, if you have a system and you read that system as, okay, this is the way to win, or it's like, oh, this is my payoff matrix. It's like, if I do this, then there's a probability of that, and if I do that, and if you're analysing the situation, you read the situation like that, and that reading pushes you to shoot people when you can see the whites of their eyes, then that's what you're going to do. And it doesn't really matter very much how you're programmed. Really what matters is that you just want maximum action in the future. That's pretty much all you need. I mean, the things I've listed, being able to make eye contact, being able to read people, are important, but I think even an AI would end up, like a general purpose AI, you can imagine in 2030, would end up playing GTA 5 online in the way we know and has just been described. I would end up playing Journey in the way we know and understand. Journey players play that.
So it's kind of, this is a thing that's been created, this sort of online culture has been created by the developers and by the game creation. Sort of made
well, vertently or inadvertently, yeah. And when you create a game, you're creating systems, you're putting
which gives values. You've therefore implicit values. Your value behaviours.
Maybe what's missing at the moment then is systems which introduce or allow different behaviours. Because I think if you take GT Online, I mean every instance of contact in GT Online is essentially like the prisoner's dilemma. In your head you're thinking, what's the best possible scenario from this? And it's always like a zero-sum game that someone's going to get shot. Because on the other side, there isn't enough to encourage you to be altruistic. So do you think it's
to play tennis? There are other things you can do in the world, but in the moment of crisis, prisoner's dilemma, you don't know what they're after, and everything's up for grabs and there are no consequences, then that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, my experiences in Heroes of Newer, for example, is that you can't report anyone for their bad behaviour until you get to something like level 7 or something. So by that time, you're already participating, you've actually learned to participate in the game in a bad way in order to actually be part of the game. You've actually learned bad behaviour. And by the time you get to level 7 and you want to report other people, you've actually, it's like Stockholm Syndrome. You've already participated, and now you're that kind of person, and then every beginner is going to behave in that way. So
yeah, you've internalised the rules.
Exactly. The design of that is that they want you to end up that way. Or it's all, I mean, they probably don't, but it ends up creating the type of community that isn't good to play with.
It's a massive testament to the achievement of GTA 5 that you even think about it in those terms. I mean, no one was asking to play tennis in Call of Duty. You don't go, well, I just go around shooting people all the time. It doesn't feel right. They have created an amazing world in that game.
Yeah. Any more questions? Any more hands went up? I can't see because the lights are too bright. Is there any more hands up?
If not, I'm at... Oh,
Oh, there's
one
one.
there.
There's one over there. I can see.
I was going to ask you, Martin, if you were going to make another Perfect Dark.
Yeah, just drop that one in.
Just drop it in there.
Yeah.
I guess no.
Great, jump
Next
that.
question.
Open the question.
Like, when consoles were first out, there was a lot of local play, so split screen multiplayer, and now it seems to all develop online. Do you think the play is different now because you have to have like two copies of the game? It's not really, you can't interact in that without what both of you have done in the game. If that comes across like.
Yeah, I mean there are some split screen co-op games, and well, multiplayer games still being made.
I like, having a bunch of people shoulder to shoulder. I think that's great. I think it's hard to beat over a narrow channel on the internet. I don't know what to add to that, really.
We had a fantastic game of Space Narwhals, which I thoroughly recommend. We had to pierce narwhals in the heart. As a 4-player competitive game. I first thought it was a co-op game and they were just flipping each other to see how high they could get. No, stabbing each other. And all the hearts were like, oh, it's beautiful, maybe a bit too cute. The hearts were a bit prominent actually. No, it's stabbing each other. but yeah, no, you still see, and certainly in the indie games and many of the games that are on show at the Open Arcade here, the games in development or that have just been made, there are a lot of them are co-op on the same screen, which is great.
Yeah, and what about the rest of GameCity? Have you been to anything yet? Have you seen the Open
Sure.
Arcade?
So I played Smeetorp's Smee Sports.
Oh yeah, Michael Bro's Speed Sports game, yeah.
How does that? How does that work?
Pretty hardcore. My first reaction was it's a little bit like two-a-side football, but it turns out it really isn't. It's a very interesting game. It's 2-on-2 player, ideally, and you're there in the same room. And there's a movement definitely in the indie game space towards small-scale local participatory gaming and a sporty feel.
Maybe that speaks more also to the way in which those games are often developed by people who are very actively collaborating and discovering things together with partners, with new people.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to make a 4-player game, that's kind of likely to happen if you have 4 passionate
Yeah, a lot of people say, I make a game I want to play. That's what a game I want to play with my friends.
And another point is, don't try and make a 4-player game if there's only really 3 of you, because that's going to be hard.
Good point. Pro tip.
Is there anything coming up that GameCity you guys are going to be involved with or interested in seeing?
Oh yeah, everything every day.
Crisis Panic.
Crisis Panic Team. Crisis Panic Team.
I've heard it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yep. we'll have lots of fun every day. There's lots of board games activity. I think Quentin Smith's coming down. Games Owner will be here and they'll be talking, playing interesting board games. So
Weetley's tonight, 8 p.m. They're talking about, with Tailored Tales, love and sex and relationships.
Oh yes, well, I think we're going through the schedule and we'll be able to give the times for that in a minute. Going back to your game for a second, you were saying about how it effectively ends in death and you become a ghost in it. We didn't really talk
there is a
about
triumph,
that
but the point that if over a sequence of play sessions, so everyone's worked together, all the ghosts of their ancestors have popped up and helped them, they'll progress further and further. So eventually they will hit the target length of time, at which point the Sanctus will play. Everything will be shriven and they will have succeeded in some way.
I just wondered if you were